Charles Leclerc needs to grow a spine. He needs to stand up for himself. He needs to find his balls and start making some selfish decisions about his career. Because when recently speaking to Sky Sport Italia, recently, I mean, it was 9 days ago when making this video, and he faced a very difficult question. You had to face the dominant run of Verstappen, and now one between Norris and Piastri will be F1 champion before you. How do you live with that? Ouch, first of all. And it's a very legitimate question because Max Verstappen is the peer of Charles Leclerc. And during the 7 years that he's been in Ferrari, Max Verstappen went on to become a legend of the sport. 4 world championships, and one of them was fought against the greatest of all time, Lewis Hamilton. And in 2024, he won the world championship not even with the fastest car, but with aggressive strategy, good setup changes, just making the most out of Grand Prix after Grand Prix. So Verstappen, Leclerc's peer, won 4 world titles, became a legend of the sport, and now the next generation is going to become the Formula One world champion before him. Piastri has the same number of wins as Charles Leclerc, 8 wins each. Norris has 1 more win compared to Charles Leclerc. Piastri's 3rd year in Formula One, ladies and gentlemen. This is Oscar Piastri's 3rd year in Formula One, and in my opinion, he's the favorite to become the world champion. We'll talk about that in a different video. But a very legitimate question. And what does Charles reply? He replies, "But I drive for Ferrari. It means a lot." Does it mean more? Just to validate, because even the interviewer couldn't believe the delusion, couldn't believe how much Charles is patting himself in the back and is happy with the consolation prize that he is with a team whose best days are clearly behind them and are definitely not going to be in front of them for the foreseeable future. 2026 Ferrari is not going to capitalize. Like, if you can bet the house on one team not making the most out of the regulation changes and fucking it up once again, show up with a borderline illegal car that you have to lift and coast in order to manage the situation Grand Prix after Grand Prix and make strategy fuck-ups, it's Ferrari. So the interviewer couldn't even believe the answer that he was hearing. Like, does it mean more? You would rather lose with Ferrari, because that's what it means. He would rather lose with Ferrari than win a world championship with any other team in Formula One. That's how grooming works. Ferrari basically took this kid when he was young and they just groomed him because now he is in love with his abusers. He is in love with the situation that no matter how many pole positions he gets, he's not going to win. And he has the worst pole to win conversion ratio. And he has been brainwashed into thinking that this complacent way of life, failing so much, and as long as he's winning 1 or 2 races with Ferrari, that's enough, that's good enough. He has been brainwashed into thinking, he has been groomed by the Scuderia, into believing that failure is the way of life, continuous emotional damage weekend after weekend, experiencing disappointment, watching race wins, rare opportunities to win amazing races like the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, those race opportunities slipping by. This is all good. It means more, definitely. And speaking of the pole to win ratio, let's go ahead and look at some of the numbers. So Charles Leclerc has one of the worst pole to win ratio at 18.5%. He has 27 pole positions and only 5 of them have been converted to win. Let's take a look at Lando Norris. Because Lando Norris is the kind of guy that is known to bottle pole position starts. And he has a 43% of pole to win ratio. He has 14 pole positions, converted 6 of them into victories. This is a horrible situation because when a guy who is known to be the bottle job while starting from pole position has a better pole to win ratio than you need to start thinking about your career. You cannot just sit there and be like, well, the team that was very, very successful 20 years ago, I'm still in that team. There is brand value. All the other celebrities across the world are using this company. to chase views on social media, so it must be good, and we are selling merch. Plenty of mega world champions, seasoned world champions, legends of the sport have been in this car, have been in this team. So, just the consolation prize. It's kind of like being the last guy in a gangbang. You were the last guy in a gangbang, buddy, but you got some pussy, right? So that's the mentality, glass half full, Charles Leclerc, right? It's okay that my peer during the same amount of time have become a legend of the sport. And if Max Verstappen decides to hang it up next year and move on to do something else, it's going to be perfectly fine because he has achieved almost everything that he needs to achieve in Formula One. He has become a legend. And now it seems like McLaren dominance is here to stay. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are going to be world champion, as this guy has said. And it definitely means more for Leclerc to lose with Ferrari than to win with any other team. Ain't that crazy? And another crazy thing is right after the Hungarian Grand Prix. So in the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, let's talk a little bit about that. Charles Leclerc started on pole position. Nobody knows how he got the pole position. Not even him, definitely not Ferrari, because them motherfuckers are dumb. They don't know the strengths and the weaknesses of their car until it's in the middle of the race. Then they start to just go, holy shit, we got a problem. So nobody knew how he got the pole position. And in the first couple of stints of the race, it was a two-stop race for Charles. First two stints, he was very decent. But then the Ferrari issue came to light. Nobody knows what the issues is. We just have a bit of speculation. And it's kind of like 90% true probably. It's the rear plank wearing out issue. Like the Ferrari car is a shitbox, so they have to run it really low, borderline illegal. And that's when they will have a little bit of performance. So in the race, if you constantly push the car hard throughout all of the laps, the plank gets worn out too much and then the car becomes illegal and you will get disqualified. In order to combat that, rather than finding a good engineering solution, the solution of the Scuderia is to lift and coast. So intelligent at the pinnacle of motorsport, ladies and gentlemen. So because of a similar type of issue, Charles Leclerc was not able to push that hard. They have lost some pace in order to manage the plank wear out issue. This issue is not visible in the qualifying sessions because in qualifying, you only do like 5 or 6 push laps at all. So during that period of time, it's not visible. And in rain, on wet races, that's also not visible because you're on intermediate tires, which lift the ride height of the car naturally, so you can push without worrying about the plank wear. So in the Hungaroring, if you go ahead and listen to Lewis Hamilton's entire radio from the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix, he was told by Riccardo Adami to do lift and coast from lap 3 of the race because of the plank wear issue. That's how shit the car is. So that's one of the theories behind why Charles Leclerc lost a potential win in the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix. And there was some issue. He was very cryptic about it on the radio. He didn't say much of the details. When he jumped out of the car, this is what he has to say. From around lap 40, we had a problem with the chassis, blah, blah, blah. In the car, obviously, I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I had an idea, but it was the wrong idea, blah, blah. Some bullshit he's just saying. He's just saying that I thought there was a problem, but it was not the problem that I thought it was. And we had the issue. We had the issue on the chassis, and I will talk to the team. I don't want to say much about it. First of all, why aren't you angry at the team at this stage of your career? Because just as I was discussing, your peer has become a GOAT of the sport. The next generation is about to leapfrog you and have more wins. Norris has more wins than you. Piastri has the same number of wins than you on his 3rd season in Formula One, and he seems to be the favorite to become the world champion, although anything can happen. We'll talk about that in a separate video. Get subscribed for that. But that can happen. You have one of the worst pole to win conversion ratio. Lando Norris, who is known to be a bottle job, has a very higher pole to win ratio, and he has less poles than you. So Charles Leclerc, 18.5% of pole to win ratio. Why are you not mad? Why are you speaking in riddles? Why are you giving politically correct statements? You are behaving like a PR trained rabbit for a team that robbed you of another potential victory. You gotta go out and start talking a little bit of shit. Start putting some hands on. I mean, obviously, hypothetically, I'm saying that. I'm not gonna go ahead and give advice to anybody to put their hands on anybody. But Charles, at this point, needs to go and box some of the engineers. He needs to go ahead and do these things. When he comes to the press conference, his knuckles need to be a little bit bruised, and some other team members need to be walking around with a bunch of stitches on their face and a black eye. Because there needs to be consequences. He needs to put some pressure on the team to follow good engineering practices to produce faster, more competitive cars by remaining within the constraints of the engineering regulations of the FIA. That's what he needs to do. And he's coming out and he's protecting the team by talking like a PR trained parrot. At least be stoic. At least just say that I'm very disappointed. I have nothing else to say. I'm just going to go ahead and talk to the team about the issue. That's it. Just be stoic. Don't show this emotion. Don't say that you're proud to drive for Ferrari, because listen, man, if you have been brainwashed and groomed, which is true, by thinking that driving for Ferrari and losing with Ferrari is more valuable than winning the world championship as a Formula One driver, all right, that's great. You have been groomed. That's a wrong thing to do. And the only way you can get out of the grooming situation is by fighting. You cannot protect the team anymore. There is literally nothing to protect. And a lot of people talk about the historic run of Ferrari. First of all, that happened 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, Formula One was an entirely different sport. And yes, Kimi Raikkonen won in 2007, but that was primarily because of McLaren's mistakes. It was not particularly because of the strength of the Ferrari. So, I mean, let's just be real about that. If Lewis Hamilton didn't fuck up the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix and retire like an idiot, then he would have won that season. And it seems to me that Lewis Hamilton did it again in 2021 in Azerbaijan Grand Prix, where he threw away a victory by doing that, the brake magic thing, 25 points there. In my opinion, that's the one that lost him his 8th world title. Either way, Ferrari was last dominant more than 20 years ago, when Formula One was an entirely different sport. Ferrari had a lot of advantages as compared to the other teams during that period of time. They had more money, more time to test, more resources in general. They had more control and influence over how the sport was governed. They could make some tweaks behind the scenes that will be invisible to the people ahead. And I think right now also Ferrari has a lot of influence on how the sport runs. We saw this in 2019 engine regulation thing, because in 2019 Charles Leclerc had like 7 or 9 pole positions in a row, and he only converted like 1 or 2 of them into a win. And then it was found out that Ferrari was running an illegal engine, and they were sending more fuel to the engine than what was allocated by the FIA regulations. And after that investigation, Ferrari basically, it was a hush-hush investigation. The details were not made public. And after that investigation was concluded, Ferrari became a midfield team. So this is not 2025 is not the first time that Ferrari showed up with a fucked up of a shitbox and, running illegal techniques to try to be competitive. It happened before also. So before 20 years, they had their run of wins. They were dominant back then when the sport was completely different, and Ferrari definitely had an unfair advantage over their rivals. Right now, with the cost capping thing, with a fast moving season and all the other dominant teams rising up, these motherfuckers are nowhere. And this guy is very happy. But I drive for Ferrari. But it's insane. It's like dating a porn star. It doesn't matter if she's been fucked by 1,000 different dudes in front of camera. She's pretty. And I'm happy to be with her. I get to hold her hand. Like, that's literally what this guy is thinking. And he needs to get out of that mentality. His therapist needs to tell him that, man, this isn't working out. Yes, Ferrari helped you, and they gave you the shot in Formula One throughout your junior career. They have been supportive. They love Charles, and the love of Tifosi, the emotionality, all that bullshit. That's all true. But you gotta start getting real at this point because you are here to win, aren't you? I assume. Like, imagine if Charles Leclerc continues with Ferrari, because this is not gonna change. Let's just be honest. Because since the last 20 years, Red Bull had two dominant cycles. Red Bull has produced two GOATs in Formula One, Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Mercedes had another dominant run that lasted 7 years. Nico Rosberg became one-time champion and Lewis Hamilton won 6 championships with them. 6.5. And Ferrari was nowhere. I mean, there were some spots in which there were some moments in which these motherfuckers appeared competitive, but they definitely found a way to throw it all away. And I don't think going into the future, anybody, no one believes that going into the future, they are going to show up with a dominant car that is reliable weekend after weekend, because that hasn't just been the case. In 2022, it looked like Verstappen and Leclerc will be fighting for the world title. Like in 2022 Formula One season, we really thought for a second that that could happen. But then obviously the engine issues, and then Charles made some mistakes, and then Ferrari made some strategy blunders, many strategy blunders, and eventually that fizzled out. By the time we went to summer break, it was clear cut that Verstappen will win again. These mistakes are still here today. They're still showing up with fucked up dog shit cars. They're still, coming up with hacks to deal with the weaknesses of the car. Like this Hungarian Grand Prix is the best example. They told Lewis Hamilton is not in this post. They told Lewis Hamilton to lift and coast from lap 3. After a few laps, I think on lap 7 or lap 8, I made another video about this, how Ferrari killed Lewis Hamilton. You can go to my channel and check it out. From lap 7, Riccardo Adami told Lewis to increase the lift and coast even further. That's how dog shit of a car they have. So they have a car which is not only slow and lacks performance and can only perform on select tracks, but it's also a car that you cannot push for 70 laps, the entire race distance. And this guy is happy to drive for those incompetent people. So Charles Leclerc definitely needs to grow a spine, and he needs to start thinking more selfishly about his Formula One career if he is serious about winning world championships, because that should be the dream of a Formula One driver. He has made endless sacrifices, his family has made endless sacrifices, and he is one of the most talented driver on the grid. His his qualifying performance is as good as it gets. I don't think anyone is that better than Charles Leclerc. Maybe Max Verstappen, but he is definitely neck and neck with Max Verstappen when it comes to putting in the lap over the course of the entire qualifying sessions. During the race, if you look at Charles's onboard in wheel-to-wheel battles, the way he was battling Max Verstappen in 2022, and that is the Max Verstappen who fought Lewis Hamilton the season before throughout the season. So he was holding his own against Max Verstappen, who has been battle hardened by Lewis Hamilton. And he was holding his own. And over the years, we have seen Leclerc's racecraft is phenomenal, through the roof, one of the most talented drivers. And he has been groomed and brainwashed into thinking that driving for Ferrari and losing with these idiots means more than going to a different team with a better trajectory and winning championships. So he definitely go ahead and look in the mirror and start making some real decisions. He needs to time it right. I don't know how many years of contract he has, but he needs to time it right. He needs to see, okay, this is when my contract is ending. These are the other teams whose drivers' contract is ending around the same time. And these are the teams with good trajectory going into the future, so I should try and get into them. And time is running out, because if you wait for more years, then you're going to be old, and then the next generation is going to come, like the Dragovic and all those type of people. Dragovic is extremely talented, and it's going to happen. Don't be chewed up and spit out by the sport, and don't do it in Ferrari. Because you can go ahead and pat yourself in the back like, oh, emotionally, this is amazing. It means a lot more. I bet it does. I bet you are selling all this merch and all this amazing clout that you have. I bet it means a lot more. But you are here to win, man. You are here to win. You are here to become a world champion. Ferrari are not going to turn, like, it's been 20 years is what I'm trying to say. So Charles Leclerc definitely needs to leave Ferrari, start talking a little bit of shit about the team, stop protecting them so much by behaving like a PR trained parrot, and everything will fall in place. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.